I need to start by saying something I neglected to mention in the introduction, which is that Payal is one of this year's 100 most influential people according to Time magazine and is going to receive that honor tomorrow. Just another feather in your cap. So Payal, Toma, I actually want to start by situating the film. It's a Mumbai film, as we said in the intro, but it actually is set in a specific part of Mumbai, Lower Parel and Dadar. I'm wondering if you could talk about the significance of that setting. You know, what about that area drew you to set the film there?
Firstly, it's nice that so many of you stayed. It's late on a Tuesday, so that's nice. It's set in this area in Mumbai where the film actually starts in this area with the tracking shot, which is the Dadar flower and vegetable market, which is a wholesale market that happens between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. And I was interested in this area because it is an area which is particularly gentrified in the past 20 years. It was an area which was originally had the cotton mills in Mumbai, which was one of the biggest industries and employed the most number of people. But the strikes that took place in the 80s for the rights of the mill workers eventually didn't resolve the issue, but they shut down the mills, and a lot of people lost their jobs. Okay. A lot is, and instead of providing housing for the people who worked there and rightfully had the right to live there, those mill areas became like luxury shopping malls and buildings which have separate lift for those who live there and work there. And there's a kind of violence in this gentrification where public space is snatched up in this way. So I was interested in having to talk about this area in Mumbai because I've seen it change living there and seeing how it's completely not what it used to be. And the people who lived there now have to live really far away and have no association anymore with this space. And the shot of Parvaty, I don't know if you'll recall, but there's one shot where she's standing at her window, and above her you see all the really tall buildings that are now taken over that space, and below you see the entire shanty town of the slum, and running between the two is the highway, and that's basically for me Mumbai, which is like people who have the cars can ignore what lies under this bridge and the past of this city. And it just was something that I wanted to talk about in the film.
Now I want to go back a little because, I read in the press notes that you were working on this film even before you started putting together A Night of Knowing Nothing. You started working on All We Imagine as Light as far back as 2019. And actually, I'm going to turn to Thomas. You've been part of the journey of both films, so you've been there from the beginning. And you told me yesterday that you saw one of Payal's shorts at a film festival, and that's how you connected with her. So can you take me back to that moment, like when you discovered her as a filmmaker and what made you want to work with her on these features?
It was in 2018, and the companies that I created with my associate Julien didn't exist, but I was going in many film festivals, and Berlinale especially, and I discovered Payal short and What Is the Summer Saying. That is amazing, and it's a film that each time that I see it, I see something new, and I really, and the first time I saw it, I really was like, wow. I'm not really sure, like I understood everything, but I just felt so great. So I said I want to meet the person responsible for this film, and I contacted her, and we met, and it started there, like step by step, getting to know each other, getting to know like how could be this this association between like a young producer who hadn't done so much and a young director from India, a producer from France. Like she was coming with a Ricoeur, a Nabir, a working partner, and so we brought like step by step. We started working on this film, on the script. She was in Paris for some time as a residency, so it helped us also like working together. And then she told me about this image that she had shot while she was a student. She showed me. I had a bit of the same. I don't know. It's a feeling when you watch some images and you're just like, wow. So we started working on A Night of Knowing Nothing together, and that was the journey.
And so, Payal, what was kind of the first image or first kind of kernel of story or detail from which All We Imagine Is Light arose?
So the way I like to work with writing scripts is that I have scenes like stars in a very dark space, and I try to
You
find...
like the night.
Yeah, I do. I think darkness provides a lot of is a refuge for me. So and I needed to find a way to get from one dot to the other. So it was just some images and scenes that I had in my mind.
Like what?
Like the rice cooker and hugging the rice cooker.
I've never felt so seen in my life.
was definitely one of them. And so it started kind of from this thought and just having two women who are so different from each other, because I've lived often in hostels, and almost my whole educational life was hostel life. So living with another person is like was very much part of my life. And you don't know this person, but you're sharing such an intimate space with them, and then you get to know them, and either you hate them or you love them, but now you're stuck with them. So so I was thinking a lot about this kind of relationship, which also happens in cities, because you get a roommate and like you need the roommate to be able to manage to pay the rent, and then you're stuck with them till the lease finishes. And so I had all these thoughts.
And I'm also interested in sort of the location scouting process for the film. And maybe Thomas, you can speak to that a little as well. This, I read that the hospital scenes were shot in a hospital that was about to be broken down or bulldozed, and the apartments were about to be torn down. And it seems like you found, first of all, that the locations in sort of an ad hoc way, but you crafted something that feels incredibly intentional, but also that you filmed in a way that actually also captures the way Mumbai is always churning. So maybe you could speak a little to the location scouting aspect.
I mean, I was there for part of it actually, but there was like many more that I wasn't there. But for the main hospital, it was like a moment that I was in Mumbai. So yeah, it was like we were like Payal worked with a great scout location. How do you say? Scouting location.
His name is Kishore Sawant, and he's somebody who knows Mumbai really well, and has done many many independent movies before. And he's like a location artist. If there was such a word, it would be for him.
No, and I think it was then, a lot about, finding a space like this hospital was great for us, because we could it would be torn down, but then so we could do whatever we wanted in it. There was already like a lot of props.
We got it with all these weird instruments which look like they're from the 80s, which works fine for me because I think my image making is a bit 80s.
We had a second hospital also that we lost.
You want to bring the drama in?
No, I just
tell.
location. No, that was
Late.
just.
This is the time when all the tea is spilled.
No, because at the end I felt we were like always like, and Payal was always coming also with like new resources, like new ideas, and like I think this is the mark of a great director that, yeah, with constraint or with limits, like she comes up with new ideas. But yeah, so I mean, again, I wasn't there in all the process. I know like you scouted a lot in between. You looked for a lot of other hospital, but at the end, this one was.
Yeah, it's probably not there anymore. It's gone. So I was interested to kind of, so I wanted two things which are very contradictory. One is that I wanted to shoot in real locations and not make a set. But the problem is that real locations in Mumbai are small rooms, and you cannot put this big camera and your crew of 45 people in this small room. So what to do? But we want to be real, so finding an empty hospital worked out, and the apartment was, it was kind of government housing, affordable housing, and it was going to be again going to redevelopment, and there was some dispute with the building, and it had been abandoned for years. So we resurrected this building and put in new plumbing to be able to shoot. And yeah, it was hard because there was like no electricity, and we had to like set up one, but it
to
was
bring all the, also like the team had to bring the whole like either by with ropes or either like by just climbing the stairs. I mean, we were shooting like 14s of it.
Because it was important for me to have the train outside the window, and somehow we found this building outside a train station. So in Dahisar.
You received an invoice for plumbing.
Yeah.
I just love the little documentary scenes. I don't know if they're documentary, but these scenes of just people getting on and off trains and these disembodied voices. I mean, I thought it was lovely that you just have these voices, you don't see the people. It's like being in a big city. You walk through a crowd, you hear snatches of what people say from all these different voices, as you explained in the introduction. You know, how did you collect those testimonies? You know, even at Cannes here, I hear those and I tear up. I mean, there's just something so beautiful about these just voices of all these different languages, people saying what their relationship to Mumbai is.
Yeah, while I was making the film, during the pre-production, I like to do interviews with people, sometimes just chatting for 2-3 hours and having tea and for no real purpose. We are very good at that. And sometimes I was also meeting people because I had this dream that I could cast people in the film who were not actors, which is also did work out for me. But it led to having a long conversation with a lot of people from Mumbai and collecting material. And it's this kind of form is something that I had been using for my previous film also, and the one before that as well, which is the voice and the image not always being in sync. Because I feel that as an audience, one now is able to make meaning just by the juxtaposition, and we don't really need to be so illustrative of like, okay, this person is speaking and this. I think a voice also has such a character, and you can imagine perhaps somebody that you've heard sound like that before, and that for me is opening up something of your own imagination, and it allows for that. So I like this form a lot. So I was doing all these interviews, and I picked out some of the things that were said to me and I found interesting, but they were really long, like in 2 hours I have to find the precise words. So I would take that material and give it to another person who I met and say, what do you think, this person said this? How would you respond to it? And then they would say something else, and then, but now I knew I wanted to use it in the film, so I'd be like, can you be more precise? And then directed that a bit to use in the film. It was a bit like Chinese whispers. I don't know if you ever played this game.
Did making the film change your understanding of Mumbai in any way? What did you like sort of rediscover about the city that you've spent a lot of time in, obviously?
It's not precisely like rediscovering the city, but something that I in the research process, I went to a lot of the union meetings, and it was really heartening for me to see that the movement is still on. Like, the people who deserve to get this housing are still having these meetings. Their children are fighting for the rights of these apartments, and that for me was really, because I was under the assumption that the aspect of unions in Mumbai had reduced, but it's not the case, and that I was really happy to discover. And yeah.
I'd love to hear from both of you about, finding, ultimately you went with professional actresses, and I mean, my God, what actresses, Kani Kusruti and Divya Prabha, who some people here may know, some may not know. They've been doing amazing work in Malayali indie films for a while. I had seen them both in other films before, but never like this, frankly. What was that process of casting? What were you looking for? Why? How did they end up in the film?
It took a long time. Somehow everything that I do takes a long time.
The best things always do.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how to approach the film and acting and what I wanted to do, because it was the first time for me also. So I was struggling a lot with questions and things. So at first I thought I will go to colleges and I will find this Anu in this, meeting young girls in Kerala. No, it didn't happen like this. Again, I got good material for other writing, but it was not possible. So then I said, okay, let me look at actresses. And I already was a big admirer of Kani. And I had approached her for this film 6 years ago when I had started writing it, because I had approached her for the younger nurse, because we were both younger then, and time passed. And because she's acted in this film called Memories of a Machine, in which I felt that she was really like playful, and it gave me, as the Gen Z say, Anu. Yeah. And so I had wanted to cast her, and then I would keep sending her drafts of the script saying, will you read it and will you do it? She was like, yeah, sure, when you finish. And then, both of us grew older, and then I said, but I really like you, what to do? So we said, okay, let's try the other role. And then, by then she was doing a lot of like serious films, and she's a really versatile actor. So then we decided to work with her as Prabha. And Anu, I wasn't really finding anybody that I was feeling that was right. And Divya had acted in a movie called Aripu, which is The Declaration. It's a really lovely film, and if you all haven't seen it, do check it out. It's on Netflix now. And in that film, she was very serious and like a very mature person. So I was thinking, how now? What will it be? But then she, like, the way I like to do auditions with actors is that I call them over to my place and we stay together for 2 days and eat and drink and chat. So she came and she got off the train, and she was this like really vivacious person, like full of energy. And I was like, okay, this would be great. Yeah, and Chhaya is like a really amazing actor. She's really well known. The one who plays Parvaty, she's really famous. And I had seen her 10 years ago when I was a student in film school in a movie called Fandry, which completely blew my mind. And I was like, wow, one day I could probably work with her. And then I asked her, and she said, okay.
Thomas, did you have any sort of input in the casting process? What was your experience of the casting?
I mean, I think like everything when Payal works, I think she likes to try and to also like, so she also did like match with the actors. She was calling them, and I think at certain point, so she's also really collaborative. So she asks for people's opinion, but I think at the end she's looking for something, and then she gets there, and I think at certain point it was so obvious. I remember a moment also for Ridu, who was cast really, really late in the process, just before the
Who is
shooting.
the boy who played Shiaz? He was casted 2 days before we started shooting.
But in a way, like, this is why what I'm always impressed by Payal is like, because I can say it, no, yeah, there was another actor chosen, but then she didn't feel like it, and she was totally right.
It makes me sound very flippant.
No, but it was totally right, and I think this was also super brave to say, okay, that's not the right, and then Ridu, who we had seen all, but maybe we had thought, oh, is it the right pick? And then he came back, and it was so obvious that it was him. I remember the first time Divya and Ridu in like doing rehearsal, and I was like, wow, yeah, that's them. And I don't know, this is in your process, and you found it, so it was great.
I'm not easy to work with for producers.
On the contrary.
You know when it's right, and that's a director. Intuition is very important for a director. Payal, A Night of Knowing Nothing was a very political film, but structured around a love story. You made sure to kind of create this love story, and that became our entry point to this very political situation. This is also a love story, a beautiful love story, multiple love stories actually, and it is about the love between a Muslim man and a Hindu woman, which is, a topic that comes up in the headlines a lot. It's a very weighted topic, and there was almost, while watching the film, I felt on edge. Because, when you read this in the newspapers these days, something bad is going to happen. And where you took it was so wonderful, because it's not like some kind of easy resolution, everything's okay, they'll live together forever. But it's about like, sometimes the big battles are really about the small, like they're an accumulation of small negotiations, getting your friend on your side. So just, can you talk me through that? Why are you so drawn to love stories? And your approach to this particular love story and all of the baggage that it brings with it.
Yeah, I think love becomes a way to kind of address a lot of political questions for me, and it's longing as well. And in both the films, there was the question of identity coming in the middle of people being able to be with each other. So this was something that I find that I can talk about a lot of issues through something that everybody understands, and everybody's been through some point in their life, which is so basic, like love. And also I'm very romantic, maybe. And I think I was also at an age where it was like a lot of my friends were getting messages from their parents to WhatsApp pictures to choose the to get on with it, like marry someone. So maybe it was very much part of my zeitgeist to continuously think about it. And it's what you said, that it's because coming from India, all of us know the baggage of this. So I didn't need to spell it out, I felt. And that was always something that I was worried about for them. And I kept that as just in the hope that people will understand what it means. But for them, it's just two people. It's not about the identity. It's just that two people trying to figure out whether they want to be with each other. And in India, it's always a time bomb, this relationship, because they're like, "Acha, you people are together, now you should get married." Like, no. So these were the things that I was thinking a lot about, and love becomes a way to talk about a lot of things.
All right, let's open it up to the audience. We'll take a couple audience questions. If you have a question, raise your hand, and someone will bring a mic to you. Let's go with this person in second row, and there's a mic just coming your way.
First of all, thank you so much for showing this beautiful film and making this film and being here. It was a pleasure. I wanted to, the question was basically about cinematography and the choices made.
Okay.
Specifically, the way how you choose to showcase the imagery was through one single light source and a very kind of fluorescent indie feel to it. I would love to know how, I mean, I wish Ranabir would be here.
Me too.
To expand further on this, but what was the process in terms of that specific choice of imagery, and how was it behind the scenes in terms of how big the crew was, and how were you maneuvering around the space?
So it's good that you pointed out, because we were very keen to use tube light as the simulation of tube light, because in India we all have tube lights in our houses, like tube light, white light. For some reason we love it. So, and only in the lawyer's house we put warm light, because it's a kind of a bougie thing to have warm light.
Every time I go home, I'm like, why is this a torture chamber? I feel
We're really into tube lights in India. It's a thing. So I wanted to use to see how even like tube light can be looking beautiful. And Ranabir is a great DOP and can do this. So yeah, so that was the kind of philosophy we went with for the lighting, which was to be having like a, for a want of better word, like pachak light, but it's still I don't know how to translate that.
flashy, maybe.
Like just one light, large light feeling.
Light.
Yeah, like even in the end scene when they're standing at the beach, it's just one, like, you know, sometimes you go to beaches in the night, there's one big light that's there. So, but again, how to kind of find something beautiful in that was what we were searching for. And what was the second question? It was a big crew.
But,
Yeah, it was difficult because in Mumbai, if you shoot, you have to follow union laws, and I respect that. So you need to have like a certain number of people per every unit. Like for the lights, for the camera, you have to have 3 people. So it's so that everybody gets employment in the film industry. But if you're making an intimate film, it's very difficult also. But we had the whole building, so we could be in all the rooms.
okay. More questions? Please raise your hand. And, too many. We won't get to everyone, y'all, but maybe over there, right there.
Hey, I really liked the choice of using Emoi's music throughout. So I'm curious, what was sort of the inspiration for using that, and what kind of negotiations went behind that opening title card?
I knew this is going to happen.
People want to know.
It's a funny story. Yeah, so I was, my editor, Clément, introduced me to the music of Emahoy Sege Mariam Gebru. For those of you who don't know, this is the music that is the piano piece that plays every time Anu and Shiaz are hanging out. It's the na 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 na, this one. And
Just have recorded that.
I know, na?
No rights issues. Yeah.
I would still have to get rights. So I felt when I heard this music, there was a feeling of delight and reverie, and I feel that when like the sense of romance also makes me feel like this. So I felt they went well together, and I really wanted to use this music. I just thought it fit well for me instinctively. So the little background, the person who has made this music was a nun, an Ethiopian Orthodox Christian nun. Do I really need to explain that title anymore? So what was I saying? Yeah, that this I wanted to use this music, and she's no longer alive. She passed away last year. So there is an organization that has the rights to her music, who really liked the film and wanted to be supportive of the film, but had obviously some issues with the content, which has to do with the sexual content. So to be more respectful to her and her beliefs, at least they didn't say that don't use the music. I could put a disclaimer, and I really wanted to use the music. So this is what the negotiation that was arrived at.
This makes it spicier, honestly.
I
You should
know,
use
right?
that title card as an advertisement. Yeah.
What are these issues that they don't agree
Not approved by nuns. So
Ooh.
we'll take one more question. Over here.
Hi again. I just wanted to ask how, sorry if I'm like yelling. I just wanted to ask how you thought through featuring rain in different scenes. Because Mumbai monsoons are they're like a character in the whole movie. And I was like, and such a different way of using rain. It's not the usual like, very dramatic and like, oh, you only use rain to like create tension even if it isn't there. But the use of rain was just so beautiful. And if you wanted to share a bit of your thought process behind it.
Are you from Mumbai?
No, I told you I'm from Delhi.
Right, sorry, yeah. No, but it rains quite a lot nowadays in Delhi also, global.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think the monsoon is a really like, it's a very complicated season in Mumbai. It rains a lot. So it's 4 months of torrential rain. It's not like the cute rain you have here, which is like nice. No, it rains a lot. And it's tropical weather and you're sweaty and it's like being in a soup a lot of times. But I always was kind of, like in old Hindi movies, the rain would be like, lovers walking around and singing songs with Amitabh Bachchan in Bombay. It was very much...
Sari dripping wet.
Yeah. But it's really terrible, like to live with the rain and to go to work every day and have your pants wet up to here and sit there and do your job. So this was the true feeling, I think, for Mumbaikars, and rain it's nice and all when you're indoors, but when you have to trudge to work, it's pretty horrible. And the harbour line always shuts down. So for anybody who's from Mumbai and has any experience with the sadness of harbour line, which is the train that's shut down, in Shiaz's family can't go. So it's like a very much part of Mumbai life. The trains don't go and everybody's stranded and waiting to see what to do. So I wanted to kind of have these different feelings of the rain, and even with the sound, I feel that like pitter-patter rain can feel a certain way, and the rain has a totally different feeling. And I wanted the rain to be a plot point. Because I think that our daily lives are so dramatic, and you couldn't go to meet your boyfriend because of the rain, and that for me is drama enough.
We'll wrap it up there, but Payal will be joining us tomorrow for a free talk with the director Miguel Gomes, the director of Grand Tour, which is also in the festival. So if you want to hear more from her, come tomorrow, 4 p.m. across the street, and yeah, we'll dig into the film more there and have some opportunity for audience questions at the talk as well. But for now, please put your hands together for Payal and Thomas. And thank you to this incredible crowd for coming out, at 9:15 and staying till it's midnight. So thank you.
It's impressive. Thank you.